Hello Saber fans, Galif here. Today I want to review my son's Fallen with premium V4 sound. And at the end of the video I also want to go over some of our findings with the color discs. So first I want to go over some of the details of the hilt. So my son ordered just the regular non-LE, non-azure, non-crimson, because he liked just the straight black and silver finish. And so of course you'll notice these fins. At the time that we ordered these, the combat fins were the only ones available to order, but that works out. They're very thick, very sturdy, and they've got these nice little grooves on them that the regular non-combat fins don't have. You can see the windows here. Other thing that we noticed is, so of course the retention screw is right there between those two windows. But you also have these little, they look like buttons, but actually they're screws. These tiny little screws, and they have the same threading as the retention screw, and they do actually go all the way to the blade, so that's an interesting little thing that I wanted to show, because if you are like me and you want to customize your sabers, thumb screws and little decorative things that you can do, you can swap those out, and that would be a nice way to do that. Then you have this. Now I originally thought that this might get in the way, but honestly you either hold it here or down here in the grip section, so this never does get in the way. The other thing is this nice finish on this black anodized, which I will say, it looks great, it feels great, but if you're going to get a Fallen, I highly recommend getting an old toothbrush or something, because if you're not going to use gloves, just the grease and dirt on your hands will eventually work their way into these grooves. So you want to be able to eventually just kind of clean that up every now and again. And then here at the bottom we have the pommel, which has these nice grooves to let out the sound, and because it does kind of let the sound kind of reverberate in there, it makes it very loud. Let's actually listen to that. Oh, and I have the blade in tri-white, but we have a yellow color disc, and I'll go over those in a minute. You see that gives a nice yellow. If you look at the reflection on the table here, that's more the color that you see in real life. And of course he's got the V4 sound, so let me go ahead and go through some of the sound fonts and mute that.
Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 6.
So you hear that little beep, that means that it's your mute font. So you just hold.
Confirm.
So now, nice mute function. So really like that, because we like to do spinning and we live in an apartment, so that's a really nice feature there. Now I want to go over the color discs options. So as you see, I've got some color discs here. Now these actually, if you notice, they're not the same color discs that you normally would order. Well, they are, but it's not the normal set. So I only have 7. When you order a thing of color discs, you get 12. And I found, even with the tri-white, just some of the colors just don't look great, at least to our eyes. So I've done a few things. All of these are actually doubles. So like I took the light yellow and the dark yellow, and I just actually got some modeling glue, like plastic cement, and just glued them together. And this is what gets that nice yellow that's almost like sentinel yellow. And then I did the same with this, because I ordered 2 sets of color discs. So this is actually the reddish orange, and I've glued the dark yellow to it. And I'll show you what that looks like. 2 reds, the bluish green and a green, the green and the light yellow, 2 pinks, just because even though we're not a big fan of the pink, it's actually a pretty good color. And then This blue is actually, I took a little bit of permanent marker and did a ring of blue around there, just because the blue's really, really weak. One of the reasons why my son ordered this in tri-white was because he wanted to get blue, green, yellow, and orange. And so that has a nice Arctic blue look to it, as you can see in the reflection here. So not bad. We do have a blue Dayblade that we put over here, and it actually edges it more towards a Guardian blue. So that's the color he wanted. Then if we go, so this green is a nice lime green, as you can see right there. It's a little yellow. It's a little more yellow than what you see in the reflection, but. And then this kind of bluish green. Again, so kind of a Sunrider's Destiny in the reflection there. And if I put both of the greens together, it's a little dimmer, but that is the closest that I've found to get consular green. And I wouldn't recommend mixing this many discs if you're going to do just the regular Adigan silver, but with the tri-silver, it pushes more light through, so it actually does look bright enough. There's that pink. I mean, that's kind of a pale Bane's Heart. And red, of course, red also gets pretty dim. So I think this would actually look pretty decent if we got a red Dayblade on top of it, because it is a little pale, but it is at least a nice red. Now, the two colors that I highly recommend getting white over the actual color is the yellow and the orange. So if you're thinking about getting Sentinel Yellow or Fire Orange, I recommend getting Tri-Silver with color discs instead, because even without me mixing these, just the regular yellow and the orange make such a great color. I mean, you saw this. This is definitely a rival for Sentinel Yellow. And then the orange is the same thing. I would definitely contend that it would be a rival for Fire Orange. Especially you see in that reflection there. So if you want Fire Orange or Sentinel Yellow, I would get Tri-White with color discs. It's $1 cheaper than Sentinel Yellow because that's a specialty color anyway, and you have options. And of course, I'm not a huge fan of just white, but it is a very brilliant color, so. But that is our review. Oh, one other thing I do want to mention. So, of course, the Fallen is has an MHS compatible emitter. And what I noticed is, so I actually put an O-ring in here because the threads of the emitter don't go all the way down to actually create any support in this. So this is a little, this LED module is a little loose. So to fix that, I just put a little O-ring in there. It's big enough to where it's not, even though it kind of is a little loose, it will push on the end of this to give it a little bit more support. And also, it also makes it to where the color disc doesn't get lost. Because what I was finding when we were first doing this is that I'd put the color disc in there and it would slide all the way down to there. So one of the white diodes would be exposed. But putting in this O-ring fixed that problem. And as you can see, now there's no rattle. Well, I hope you guys enjoy. I recommend the Fallen. It is a very hefty beast of a saber. And then I hope that you also got something from my color disc review.